today. We're going to talk soccer, and I'm joined by John Giles. A big weekend for Irish sport, and our rugby team acquitted themselves very well. Our soccer team didn't. We were playing Georgia, and it was a very poor performance, but we did get our 0-0 draw. John, thanks for joining us today. This was, in terms of the performance, very disappointing to watch.
Yeah, it was very poor, and we didn't do anything. Luckily enough, they were just as bad as us.
Yeah,
to be honest, they never looked like scoring. I think they were better on the ball. They had more possession of the ball, but didn't really. I don't think they had the chance in the match, and we didn't. No, we were very, very poor. Gave the ball away all the time. I mean, it was very difficult. Apart from the defence.
Yeah, it's important to say that, I mean, Darren Randolph is a very good goalkeeper, and didn't have much to do, but he does everything in a reassuring way. He's
you can depend on him, Eamon, which is great for a goalkeeper. And I thought the back five were really good.
Yeah,
you got
Coleman, very
Dunphy,
good.
Egan, and
Doherty.
Doherty was very good at left back. So they were good. Midfield, we were terrible.
Yeah,
that Hendrick was really poor.
He was,
he wasn't chasing back like he should have done. He wasn't getting into tackles like he should do. I see probably Whelan was probably our best midfield player on the day.
He was,
Hurahan was very poor as well.
He's poor in his distribution, Hurahan. He's good at set piece deliveries. He can score a goal. He's got a goal in him, but his general play, and he is playing for Aston Villa. And interestingly enough, at Villa, he's playing alongside Jack Grealish, who's a real good footballer, a very good player, and does that side of things. So for Villa, he's a kind of luxury item. They're not dependent on him to be the playmaker, and he can come in with his set piece play. The odd goal, and
he can contribute that way. Yeah, well, we don't have a.
We don't have Jack Grealish. No, we could have.
Well, we would have a chance, but I think he's a neat player, Hulahan. He gets it from A to B, but I don't see any great imagination in him.
No.
Eamon. And like if you're waiting, and his main asset to the team is free kicks and that, then it's not the best.
No,
you only get a few free kicks and corner kicks in a match. Anyway, you want somebody in the midfield contributing and getting on the ball. Then he didn't do it. Hendrick didn't do it.
No.
Whelan doesn't do it anyway. He does what he does. Robinson on the right side was very poor. Collins up front. We didn't
and
have
James
it.
McClain too was lost. I mean, I think if you don't have control in midfield, if you don't have good ball retention, somebody dictating the play, and if you don't get the ball out to McClain at the right time, get the ball out to Robinson, get up and support for a second ball, then it's very difficult for the front players. To be fair to Collins, to be fair to McClain and to Robinson, there wasn't much in the way of service and support.
Well, I'd agree with that. I mean, if you're not going to play in midfield, I mean, we don't have a real creative force anyway, but you want the players to play in there as well as they possibly can. They're not going to be, we don't have a Modric, for example. Most teams don't anyway, but we don't have that. But they can play as well as they possibly can play. And the problem wasn't they didn't play as well as they can play.
No, and I should say about our midfield, we've lost 3 midfield players, John. Wes Hulahan retired, and David Myler has had to retire. I don't know what's happened to Harry Arthur. He's our player. There was an incident involving John Walters, Harry Arthur and Roy Keane on the training ground, which I think soured Harry Arthur. He didn't show for a few games, and he appears to be out of the picture. But the point I'm making really is you can't lose 3 players of that quality.
No, it is difficult
and not have a hole there.
Well, yeah, we don't. But again,
and Robbie Brady, of course, who's injured.
He's injured. Yeah, we have a few players missing as well. But when you play on the day with the lads that played, you expect them to play as well as they can play.
Yeah,
they're not going to replace these players because they're not as good as them generally. But you want them to play as well as they can, and they didn't. They were nowhere near that. Hooran was giving the ball away. Hendrick was. Well, I don't know what Hendrick was trying to do on the day. He wasn't trying much. He was terrible.
Yeah.
On the day. I mean, that's two players out of the midfield.
Yeah.
Gone. I mean, Robinson was having. Robinson, I agree with you. He's dependent on a bit of service he wasn't getting, and neither is Collins up front. And there's no doubt it's a well-known thing in football. If you're not doing it in midfield, creative midfield players are the ones that link everything up. And if you haven't got that, then you're not going to link everything up. So you're not going to play well. And that's what happened to us on the weekend. We just didn't play well enough, particularly in midfield, to link it all up. At the back, we were good. I mean, all the players at the back were very, very good.
Dunphy, excellent.
Very good.
Coleman, excellent.
Excellent, yeah.
Doherty, excellent.
Yeah.
And John Egan was very good.
Very good. And the goalkeeper, so we're okay in that position. They didn't look like scoring either. I mean,
no.
They looked a bit more than we did, but not very much.
No.
So it was a bad game all round. But we're only looking at it from our point of view. And the fact is that the players that did play have played better before. Hooran's played better before.
Yes.
Hendrick has played better before. So they didn't play. Right. So therefore, it's not going to be good.
Now the big issue was Connelly. Aaron Connelly scored 2 goals against Spurs for Brighton last week on his debut. But not only did he score 2 goals, his general play was very, very good. He's quick. His game, he wants it. He wants the ball. He's stocky, strong young fella, and he's got confidence. Should have played him.
Definitely. I can't understand Mick. Mick has ever been cautious before. I mean, actually, when he was manager, one of the good things he had was to go out and play and try and win the match. And I just can't make out the Connelly situation. Because the young fella looks like a player.
Yeah,
real player. I mean, even when he came on the pitch for 70 minutes, he had the 2 chances that we had in the match. He looks like a real player.
Yes.
And it's not as if we have somebody brilliant up front. I don't want to be too harsh on the lads that played, whether it be Collins or anything else. But you can see that they haven't got what Connelly has.
No,
there was nothing for if you're the top centre forward, right, you're really doing his stuff, and you left him out for Connelly, you say, well, that's a bit odd. Or else he would have been playing up alongside him. But we don't. So, to put Connelly in, put a lad in for the first game, it's always a bit of a gamble.
Yeah.
Always a bit of a gamble. But we could see that he could play. But in my opinion, it was very, very much worth the gamble to play him.
Yeah, it was. And James Collins is playing for Luton Town.
Yeah.
He's a kind of, very ordinary.
He's a target guy in a fashion name, but he's to be fair to the lad, he does his best, but he wasn't up to it. So there was nothing I thought that from Mick's point of view, putting Connelly in, even if he didn't play well, you're not losing anything. You can't say, well, Messi was on the bench and he could have come on. I just don't make that out. I'm surprised at Mick not putting him on, to be quite honest. And I'd be amazed if he doesn't play. Against Switzerland.
Now, this is a big game. I mean, Stevens is available, and he's a very good left back. He's playing for Sheffield United in the Premier League. Good player, I think, a very good defender, and he's a good left foot. Now, I'd play him, and my inclination would be to try Matt Doherty in midfield. He's a very good footballer. He scores goals for Wolves. He scored quite a lot of goals for a fullback. But I do accept that moving good fullbacks into midfield rarely works because they're getting the ball, they're back to goal. It's different. Robbie Brady is a good example of that, and I know you don't agree with it. Tell me why you'd leave Doherty where he is.
Well, first of all, if you put Doherty in midfield, I've never seen him play.
And I'd bring Stevens back in.
Yeah. Well, that's no problem. Stevens is a very, very good player. And we're unfortunate in a certain way that we have 2 very good players in the one position and another position's not so good. But I wouldn't touch the back 5.
Right.
Because I think they're good, they're solid, they're not going to give much away. And in Doherty's case, you refer to it yourself there, it's very difficult to get fullbacks to go into midfield in the manner in which you want them to play.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, I never believed in selection in a team to go on a wing and a prayer.
Yeah.
It's a wing. If you play Doherty in there, you're taking him out of the left back position.
You're taking a chance.
You're taking a chance. I don't think you should ever take a chance, especially in an important match like this. Is like if you're near the end of the season, you could put someone to try and. But this is like Doherty's been in the squad. I know we don't have that many internationals. He played it right side of midfield against Gibraltar.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible day for playing.
So hurricane.
Yeah, you couldn't judge him. But you said like you referred to him scoring goals.
Yes.
But he scored them from the full back position, the wing back position.
Yes.
So when you're playing wing back, as you know, Eamon, you're dependent on people getting the ball to you.
Yes.
And you're getting forward at the right time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when you put him in midfield, you're dependent on him to free the full back. So it's much easier as a wing back just to make the runs at the time. He's a very, very good player. Yes. But I certainly wouldn't disturb the back five.
Now, how are we
in a friendly match? Maybe in a friendly match, we have a friendly match.
Sure.
So definitely put him in there. Now you can say, yes, he can do it, or you have a good idea that he can do it. If you put him in now, you're in a wing and a prayer in a really big match like this. So I wouldn't disturb the back four. And I think it's a bit unfair on Stevens, and I think it was unfair on Doherty to be out of the team in the first place. But that's it,
Now we play Switzerland tomorrow night. Are you telling me that you'd leave the midfield alone?
No,
because I think we definitely are in trouble if we have that midfield again. We'd certainly agreed we'd start Aaron Connelly.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
without question. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what'd you do? To be fair to Mick McCarthy, he's an awful whinger. Jesus, he's never stopped whinging. But to be fair to him, as you say, his teams generally try to pass the ball, and he's done well enough with this second go in the job. But to be fair to him, you have to say, if you want to criticise him, what he's doing wrong and what you would do differently. Now, with the midfield players available to him, John, what can he do?
Can I just say one thing about Mick? Mick is like all the managers, Eamon. All the geese are swans. That's what my father used to say when I was a kid. And the cup is always overflowing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it is, but I can understand managers not criticising the players.
I know,
but he doesn't do that. But he'd say, I can't understand what the criticism is about.
Yeah.
We've got, and especially in the Connelly situation, well, I can only see what I see and all that.
I mean, just to put the criticism in some sort of context, Denmark only drew in Georgia.
Yeah.
Scotland lost there in the Euros, which helped us to get to the finals, the Euro finals in 2016. They're no pushover, Georgia, even though they were as bad as we were on Saturday. It's not a place where you could go and say we should get or must get. Just we played bad on the day.
Yeah, well, I think what happens there, Eamon, nobody ever said we should go there and win. Because other teams have done it. But that's in the past. That's what they've done. When you're an international manager like me, it's what we do.
Yeah, of course, I should point out to our young listeners that you were international manager for 7 years and very successfully integrated great players into the team. Mark Lawrenson, Liam Brady, David O'Leary, Frank Staple and all. So you know what it's like to be the national team manager and to make the decisions you've got to make. So.
Yeah, well, nobody's going to ever agree with what you do. No. And to be fair now to Mick, I was very lucky that I had Liam Brady, David O'Leary and Frank Stamos coming on at the same time.
Yes.
And we had a better, to be fair, we had a better selection of players, in my opinion.
Yes, of course. And it's only, in order to be fair to Mick McCarthy, it's important to make that point.
Yeah. Oh, David, he's very restricted. He's very strict, as we know, with the players. Now, all you can do is make the best of the players that you have.
Yeah.
But what Mick was saying, and that's why I referred early on to the glass is always full. He says, we got a point.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Titan, I don't want to be too harsh to Mick. Why didn't we get 2 points? What's wrong with getting the 3 points if you play well enough to do it?
And the key mistake would have been not playing Connolly.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Anyway,
and that's a conservative choice in a way, but if he can play for Brighton against Spurs and really deliver 3 points himself with 2 goals and an outstanding performance, he's good enough to play against
exactly.
Georgia.
And it's not as if he's replacing somebody.
Yeah.
Eamon. See, so the controversy could be if we had Joe Bloggs up front and was scoring goals regularly, you'd say, well, I'd want to wait and see what Connelly did. The fact is, we don't have anybody. No. I mean, he is, by looking at it against Spurs, he's without question the best centre forward or striker that we've got.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that.
And he's 19 years of age and he's very exciting for the future. Now, John, you'd play McLean.
I would play. In midfield, I would have O'Dowd in the team.
Yes.
I thought Robinson was very poor. Now, he's probably playing out of position.
Yeah, he was playing. He plays up front. He can play either. He plays up front for Sheffield United, and he started against Liverpool actually up front for Sheffield United. But he played wide on the right, and he didn't get much service. I think he's got a spark in him, and he's okay. But go on.
Yeah, he was lost. He was lost in it. I know he didn't get any service.
Now, O'Dowd is a good young player, but he hasn't been selected to play to start for Mick, as far as I can remember. And he was on the bench, and he is available for.
Yeah, well, I'd play him on the left-hand side of me.
Yes,
and I would play Connelly, and again, I would go back to McLean. I'd play McLean up front.
Right. Yeah.
With Dowd on the left-hand side. I wouldn't have Hendrick in the team.
Yeah.
I mean, the lads that played in midfield, like Byrne, the lad from Rovers, is a very good player.
He's a good player. He came on sub,
No, I don't know if he's in the squad even. I don't know.
He is in the squad. Yeah.
Well, I'd play him.
Yeah.
Definitely play him in front of Hendrick.
Yes.
And I'd be tempted to play one of the other young players that came in that match in place of Hourihan.
Yes.
And to have McLean up front alongside. You see, McLean is what he is, Amy. He'll give you everything he's got, but he's a bit of go in him. You can imagine him playing up. He'd make the runs and he'd do this, and so would Connolly. So we'd have an outlet in what we're doing. No doubt he can play.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. But that's obviously when we pick a team.
Yeah,
we're not going to see it.
No,
when everybody's going to have an opinion on who should. But that's the way I would read it. But leave the back five as they definitely make Connolly and McLean up front. I'd bring a Dowd into midfield. And I'd actually play Byrne,
right?
In it. So you got now you have a bit of creativity, in it.
Yeah,
that's only a team that obviously if I was a manager again, I'd want to see that before I played him.
Yeah,
But I would definitely, for what I've seen of them, that's the team I would pick.
Okay,
because this goes probably our most difficult match, Eamon.
Yeah, well, this is
because you watched. I didn't see all the match against Denmark.
I saw them against Denmark.
But Switzerland, to me, the bit I saw looked by far the better team.
They were. I mean, Eriksson made the goal when they scored about 10 minutes from the end. Denmark really against the run of play at home. Beautiful pass from Eriksson, who did nothing, did damn all in the game. But he played a beautiful pass, and Poulsen stuck it away. But the real hero for Denmark was Kasper Schmeichel. He made 4 magnificent saves.
I saw 2 or 3 of them.
And very rarely do you see a team rush to their own goalkeeper, especially in a home match. At the end of the game, all the Danish players had a group.
As if he scored a hat-trick.
It was quite an amazing scene, but he definitely got Denmark out of jail. Now, what was good about that is this. We played Denmark at home in our last game in November. And if we get a draw tomorrow night, the Danes won't have to worry about the Dublin match because they basically, they have an easy ride from now on. Yeah, they're going to play Gibraltar. And basically, if we get a draw tomorrow night, Denmark's next home game is Gibraltar, which is a gimme. So they'll have enough points. They'll be out of sight, really. They'll have 15 points, and they will be comfortable when they come to Dublin for the last game. A point, on the other hand, for us tomorrow would be a huge help. If Switzerland beat us, that will take Switzerland to 11 points, and they've got Gibraltar away, so they'll be away with it, and we have a problem at that stage. Now, there's only so much any coach can do with the players. You can't do better than the players you have at your disposal, and I think we probably agree that with the players at his disposal, he's done okay, Mick.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mick has done well.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he's done really well to be in the position that we're in. It was disappointing on on the weekend. There's no doubt about that. And disappointed because I think most people would agree that we were disappointed Connelly didn't play, for example, and the team didn't play well. Yes. But they're still there. And I think overall, since he's come in, he has done a very, very good job. But we're coming now we'll only know at the end of the season whether we dropped 2 points or gained 1 point at the weekend.
Now, just want to ask you a question about the arrangement that John Delaney, before he departed the FAI, agreed to and set in place, which was that Mick would be the coach through the European qualifying process and until our interest in the European Championship has ended, in either qualifying and then ending or not qualifying. And then Stephen Kenny takes over from that point. Now, there have been one or two people suggesting that arrangement should be scrapped. And I understand, in fact, I know that there are whispers in the FAI, this isn't fair to Mick and all of this, and the arrangement should be changed. I'd be very strongly against that because I think Stephen Kenny entered that arrangement in good faith and is doing a great job with the under-21s. How would you feel if that arrangement was changed?
I'd stop watching football, Eamon.
Right.
I'd give up on the FAI and anything to do with football in this country. Right. This was an agreement.
Yeah.
Mick agreed to it.
Yes.
And I don't know, I haven't heard many sounds from Mick. I wouldn't expect to. I think Mick is a very honourable individual. And I think even if they put that to him, he wouldn't take it.
No. Well, see, I mean, Mick's situation was he was out of work in England.
Yes.
He's always done decent jobs when he's had the chance with the resources. You can only be judged against the resources at your disposal. And at Ipswich, he'd nothing. They sold players and, left him with no chance. So, there should be no tinkering with that.
No. Oh, I'd be amazed, Eamon.
Yeah.
I'd be amazed. And on a personal level,
there are people, I believe, who are questioning that arrangement.
Well, I don't care about them. Like if this comes to a head, it'll come down to Mick.
Yes.
And Mick is the one that can make the decision. And I would be amazed, absolutely amazed, if Mick McCarthy didn't honour what he said he would honour.
And what he's got out of it is he's if we qualify for the finals of the European Championships, he's back in the game as a coach. He's proven himself again. That's his payoff.
Yeah, but that's what he said himself.
Yeah.
When was he?
You had a part.
Well, I was in favour of I was definitely very much in favour of the agreement.
Yes.
Mainly because Mick agreed to do it. If Mick was saying no, I don't agree with that, I wouldn't have encouraged it at all. But I think at the time, if the arrangement wasn't as it was, we wouldn't have had Stephen Kenny as manager of the under-21 team.
No.
Right?
That's
why I was in favour of what he's done, and I think he deserves a go at doing it. I thought Mick was the right man for the short period, and Mick had to agree to it, which he did.
Right.
Publicly, privately agreed. That was because Mick said himself, if I do well, and he has done well then, he's a better chance of getting a job.
Yes.
He said, if I do really well, I get another job in the Premiership.
Yeah.
So Mick was very, very in favour of it because, as we know, he got sacked at Ipswich.
Yeah.
His reputation wasn't at his highest. Now he's come back to the Irish job. He's back in the limelight again. He's done a good job. And I think there'll be lots of clubs, whether they be in the Premiership or not, would want to employ Mick. And that was Mick's take on it as well. That's where you agreed to. But he was very emphatic when he said it, and he said it publicly, that I have agreed to do that. Now, I'd be amazed if Mick didn't honour that agreement.
Okay.
Then there might be, as you said, there might be other people wheeling and dealing.
There are people wheeling and dealing.
Well,
they can
clear off, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have anything to do with football ever. Well, not that I have much to do with it now, but I'd be disgusted, really disgusted, if that was the situation.
Okay, now let's move on to a match we both saw, England versus the Czech Republic, and the whole England international scene. They have, under Gareth Southgate, they got to the semi-finals of the World Cup. Amazing. Yet, there's something unconvincing about them, or is there?
Well, yeah, I think there is, Eamon. I don't think they were convincing in the World Cup, to be honest, because I think they got, and it's not all about luck, but but I think there was a lot of luck involved in it, because the qualifiers, they played two of the worst teams in the competition, and they were lucky because both them and Belgium qualified, and they were lucky to be beaten by Belgium to go into the
weaker section,
because look, if you look at it, Spain out, Germany out, Italy out, all the top teams are one of those two of those top teams. They could have been playing in their section of the draw. Right, so that was lucky to get into that. And the only team that really played him was Croatia. And Croatia beat him. So again, I think what he did, I think he did a very good job in the PR situation. I think he really did a very, very good job there. And he did as good a job as was put in front of him. But you had to go back and say, well, who did they play?
Now, the other night, John, they played the Czech Republic. We both watched the match. It was extraordinary. He had his fella Kane, who's playing centre-half for Everton, and Pickford, who's the goalkeeper for Everton, who are third from the bottom of the Premier League. He played Trippier right back, who really, I think, has been exposed. Now, he's at Atletico Madrid. I was amazed that Simeone took Trippier, because he is a good footballer when he's going forward, but he's not a good defender at all.
No. What's amazing, I mean, the last squad, I think, that he picked, or the first squad of the season, he wasn't in it, Trippier. At all. He's out of it. And then he brought Danny
Danny Rose.
Danny Rose in, who hasn't been in. So it looked like he was giving players
a chance,
a run out. You know what I mean? And maybe a bit cocky, because they beat them well at Wembley there a couple of weeks ago. That they were going to beat this team easily, which didn't turn out to be the case. But again, I mean, if you look at them in England in midfield, they have nobody that creates anything. Nobody.
No.
I mean, Rice is a good player at what he does. Henderson is Henderson. And I don't know who else played in midfield, but they didn't. They did nothing. Did nothing and the short. I think Winks is the best that they have in that position, without being top notch. You know,
he's not Modric either, John. He's not Modric.
He's certainly not. No.
Now, Harry Kane, John. I think you were the first person to spot him, to say to me, this guy's the real deal. It's about 4 or 5 years ago now. And we both saw him playing for Spurs before he became an England international, before he even became a prolific goal scorer. But there was something about him that marked him out as special. What was it, and where is it now?
Well, it was funny. I mean, he'd been out at loan, as everybody knows now, to 10 or 12 different clubs. I remember watching him on telly, and he must have been back at Spurs. I didn't know who he was, and actually, I thought he was older than he was. He looked it on the pitch, and I thought, watching him play, this lad's a good player. And he wasn't a regular in him, he was only starting in for. And I thought, this fella's really good. And he obviously came on. But I could never understand why he's out to so many clubs. That somebody didn't spot the potential in him.
Especially that Harry Redknapp was there. I mean, they had good coaches there. You know. He might have been before.
Harry mightn't have seen that much of him. No. He might have been down at the lower end, and somebody there saying, but anyway, and good attitude, and it has turned out to be a terrific player. I just find in the last 12 months or so, Eamon, I don't know the lad at all, obviously, but he started diving a bit on the pitch that he didn't do. And what was very, very worrying in many ways, if you go back to the semi-final of the Champions League match, remember they were down.
Ajax,
he gave the team talk at half-time.
Yeah, no, you don't like that.
Well,
it wouldn't happen when you were the manager.
Well, it shouldn't happen. Would you imagine doing it with Ferguson?
No.
You see, and the only point I'm making there, I think he's taken on too much of himself.
Because he has become an England national hero.
Yes, and he is a hero, right? But in the dressing room, Eamon, there's only one boss, and that's the manager. And apparently he was giving him a right go. And don't forget, he wasn't playing himself. He was injured. And he's the right to step up and say, you're a disgrace, you're letting everybody down, and then he's not playing himself. And I thought, what would Pochettino in the dressing room allow that? Well, in such a big match. In other words, I think he's taken too much on himself as a player, Eamon.
Right.
You know? I mean, if you take Klopp, for example, could you imagine anybody doing that, Klopp, in the dressing room?
I don't know.
No way. I'd say, sit down there. I'm in charge of this.
I think that you're actually, you're very conservative in these things. For example, from the rugby, Johnny Sexton once in the Irish team, when he was a young lad, he was new in the team. It was for Leinster, I think. And he just stood up, and they were losing at half time, and he laid down the law. And people who witnessed this said it was transformational. In other words, it did actually penetrate. Yeah. It was one of those one-off things.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I've been in dressing where somebody would say something at half time. Do you know what I mean? But they wouldn't be taking they wouldn't be getting up in front of everybody and saying you're playing a load of rubbish, especially if they're not playing. The only point I'm making is I think he's taken too much on himself, and on the pitch, I think it's affected him on the pitch.
And there's this hint in what we've talked about this when we're watching matches together, that you think he might be a touch of losing the run of himself.
Yeah, taking too much on himself. Yeah, I think he's a good lad. Yeah, but thinking to actually do what he did at halftime in the match is definitely more than implies that he has the right to do that. He's a player.
Yes,
and he's a good player. But if he starts taking too much on himself, Eamon, he's not going to be the player. Like you see him now, he's coming deep for the ball an awful lot of times.
Yes,
like. In other words,
that's a bad sign too, isn't it?
Yeah, because I have to do that for a centre forward. He's a centre forward. He should be out there playing centre forward.
Where you get hurt and where you have to.
Well, whatever it is, like in other words, I don't think any player, no matter how influential they are is allowed by any manager to do what the manager should be doing.
Yeah, well, as someone who played in an international and club team, which you coached, it would not have been me who stepped up. John, thanks very much. And just to say, we got Switzerland tomorrow night. It's a huge game in terms of qualification. They are a decent side. They're not great, John. Now, I watched the whole 90 minutes of the Denmark match. Xhaka is their main man in midfield. We know what a loose cannon he is. Yeah. Lichtsteiner, who plays right back, is 34, 35. He's been a very good player for Juventus, and but he's took him off at side. They're not invincible by any means.
No. Well, fingers crossed, Eamon, that we do. I mean, we talk about the international team, and I criticise Mick, try not to, but we all have our fingers crossed. It's huge for us that we do. I don't think Switzerland are unbeatable,
and we've got draws at tougher places than that.
Exactly.